Good morning, everyone. I was asked to discuss inspiration and the power of ideas. I'm a firm believer that somebody more intelligent than you has already said it before. So to borrow words from Edward de Bono, the father of lateral thinking, he discussed that an idea that is developed and turned into action is more important than an idea that only exists as an idea. So I'm going to tell you a little story about how I've been trying to turn the idea of the circular economy into action. But what I wanted to do, first of all, is really understand what is it that inspired me as a person. And for that, I went back to the beginning. As a child, I think one of the first things that really inspire people is people. Both my parents were actually teachers, so they inspired me to learn, they inspired me to ask questions, be critical and curious. So I did ask a lot of questions as a kid, but I also wanted to know how things worked as well. So I actually built my own computer, a desktop computer, when I was about 14, and that process of actually building it was really interesting for me because I learned how the computer worked. I think something else that inspires people is when an idea aligns with their values. As a kid, I watched a lot of David Attenborough, I watched a lot of Tomorrow's World, and I mean, David Attenborough inspires people to have value for the environment, and I think Tomorrow's World shows how people and technology can work together for a better future. So how we can actually deliver that, for me, it stayed with me for a long time. But then I think the third thing that can be really inspiring for people is their own experiences. So at the age of 18, I was doing a gap year between going to university, and I was actually teaching in China. And I took a holiday, and I was traveling the country. But before I went, I saw foundations for a building, and when I came back, like 4 or 5 weeks later, the building was there. And I'd never seen a building go up that quickly. They were just putting in the glass. But as I was traveling around, I'd also seen, open landfill sites. And this really showed me that the pace of change, and that there was something really wrong with the system. And I kind of wanted to be part of changing that. When I actually graduated from, wrong one. I then graduated from Manchester in 2009. Probably not the best time to graduate, but I found myself working in business development in London, and it was good. I learned a lot very quickly, and it was allowed me to pay the bills, which was nice. But I wasn't inspired. It didn't really align with my values. And I noticed one day when I was looking at my Amazon wish list, I think about 80% of the content was around environmental management or protection. And I really thought, hang on, if I'm going to work for the next 40, 50, 60 years of my life, I should make sure it's something I'm passionate about. So I decided to take a risk, and I left a well-paid job in London. I left friends in London. I left London. And I moved to Cranfield to study a master's in environmental management for business. Before I did that, though, I tried to scour as much information on the latest thinking that I could, and I stumbled across the MacArthur Foundation and their first MOOC. And this idea really hit me, it struck with me, because what they were proposing is if you design a system with more intelligent use of resources, both natural and human, this might, be able to develop a systemic change and deliver a sustainable future. So within this, I really took that idea and I ran with it. And luckily for me, Cranfield was also a pioneer university. So it allowed me to apply for the MacArthur Fellowship and align my research with circular economy through the Circular Economy Innovation Project. So very nicely, I was successful in applying, and then also, as I say, able to combine research into recycled materials for 3D printing. And one of the things that I found that was really interesting within this was not just the fellows and the mentors, they were hugely inspiring. These were really passionate people. But it was also the fact to challenge and actually critique the circular economy within this summer school. I think it really created a very hopeful environment, but also a thinking collective where people really came together and thought about the issues at hand. One thing I do remember as well is that surrounding yourself with passionate people makes you more motivated and inspired to try and experiment. Actually, I remember Michael Paulin standing on the stage. I think he's even used the same line in this year's MacArthur Fellowship, but he talked about the Jordan Minister of Mega Projects. And I was like, wow, okay. Somebody has a job title like that, and they have an idea where they have to try and make a mega project. That's pretty cool. So from that point, I was like, okay, this is for me. What I'm going to try and do after I graduated, I want to try and take my idea and turn it into action. So through my research, I'd found a company in the Netherlands, a startup. They were exploring similar activities. They were trying to turn recycled material into 3D printing material, and they wanted to do 100%. And the experts told them they couldn't do it. But the team worked really hard and actually developed that together. So I think that's a key thing about inspiration. You challenge the impossible and do what you shouldn't be able to do. After working with the Better Future Factory, I then moved back to the UK and worked with HSMI, where I had an opportunity to deepen my knowledge and really work on large UK and European projects and hopefully increase my impact as well. But within this, I think collaboration was hugely important, and this helped me come together with an idea for my PhD now at TU Delft. Actually, I'd written the sketch of the PhD while I was an EMF fellow, but I'd developed it while working in the industry. And so now I'm working in a cohort of really passionate people. The group, they're really challenging, highly educated, highly professional. And they're really focusing their energy and their minds on circular economy research. And that is hugely inspiring to be part of. But my role I would describe as a PhD at this moment in time is as an adventurer. I'm really exploring how collaboration might work, understanding what new, altered, and changed roles are required, and how this might support circular economy. So I would describe this as the power of asking what and understanding how as well. So, as a final takeaway, what does this all mean? I think circular economy requires ambitious, entrepreneurial people who are willing and open to learn from each other, but also willing to take risks, be inspired by an idea, and turn it into action. So, what I think here with the CE100 and the CE Summit today is that if we align our ideas, our thoughts, and our actions, we can actually create a real powerful movement for change. Thank you very much.